During front page news, we were talking about Arizona Republican referring to black Americans as colored people.
What's his name?
I don't know his name.
My amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve, okay? It has nothing to do with color of your skin, any of that stuff. What we want to preserve and maintain is the fact that our military does not become a social experiment.
Well, the congressman's name is Eli Crane. Eli Crane is his name. Look, I'm not saying that colored people is not offensive because everything is about context. So there's absolutely a context where colored people can be offensive, but I don't think that was one of those times. And if colored people is offensive, then we need to have a meeting because we use colored people all the time in various ways. We say people of color, and people of color is just saying colored people with better grammar. NAACP is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. Hell, in the Wayans intro, they say we're happy and we're singing and we're colored. So all I'm saying is if colored is offensive, colored people is offensive, then we need to have a meeting and revise some things, don't you think?
Well, I mean, the Wayans brothers are black, so they can say color just like they can say the N-word. If they can say it if they want. But when it comes to anybody on the outside race using it, I don't like it. I think it's offensive. And if people don't like it, it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't sit right with me.
How do you feel about people of color when they say when they refer to us and brown people as people of color? Because that's just saying colored people with better grammar.
I mean, I don't really hear people say that. I see people here say black people. I say
everybody says people of color. No, what do you mean people of color is used every day? They use that term all the time. They lump us all in. They be like, people of color, diversity and inclusion. Yeah, but
when they say people of color, they usually they mean what? Black people. They mean brown people. They could mean Indian people. It could mean Spanish people. It could mean so many different people. But colored people means black people.
That's not true.
Yeah, when you refer to, let's say, somebody Spanish or somebody Indian or somebody, they don't refer to them as colored people.
Well,
colored people is referred to as black people.
My point is, people of color, colored people, it's the same thing. You're just using better grammar.
But if people are offended by it, maybe we shouldn't say it. It seems like any.
That's all I'm saying. It's a discussion.
But every other organization or group, if they say they offended by it, people stop using it. The LGBTQ community, there were words that we would say back in the 80s.
That's right.
That would refer to, like, for instance, homosexual, right? Now I don't think I can use that term referring to him.
You can't say homosexual.
I don't think so.
Shut up, Envy. Why you make me sick sometimes? Yes, you can say homosexual. That's when you can't say homosexual.
Oh, all right, take the sexual off. You can't say that part
that's
anymore.
Different.
But back then you could. Or same thing with a
I know you couldn't back then, by the way. No, you couldn't. There's never been a time you could just call somebody the homosexual without the sexual. I don't remember that time.
Maybe a little person. Before you would say midget. Now you can't say midget.
I still say midget. Little person sound more offensive.
Well, the little people, you are little person, so you know what? Let's go to the phone.
All I'm simply saying is, and by the way, when people are offended, they call their organizations, right, to have their back.
Yes.
So if I'm offended by the word colored people, I got to call the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People to have my back. You know, you see how stupid that sounds?
Oh, my God. All right, well, let's go to the phone lines. Vivian, good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm sorry for laughing, Vivian. Charlamagne's a jerk, and I hate him. But go ahead, Vivian.
What do you mean?
Yes, I'm calling because I disagree with Charlamagne. Mm-hmm. He's saying, okay, first of all, it was established in 1909. Back then, the term colored was accepted, and not to mention, it wasn't exclusively for blacks. It was really for people of color. And as time goes on, yes.
I just told you.
So why would it be called the National Association for the N-word? That wouldn't even be considered.
Oh, because.
And there are a lot of terms. Mm-hmm.
Oh, I was going to say because in 1909.
There are a lot of.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say there are a lot of terms that over time become unacceptable, like the term, the R word, for people with mental illnesses. Over time, that became.
That's my point. Back then, there was words that were okay that we changed. And she's talking about,
okay.
And we're not talking about the word retarded. People don't like that word.
Okay.
Now it's different words.
Exactly.
Same thing with midget.
Okay.
Same thing with this LGBTQ
Can we take
words.
a step back for a second? I concede that both of y'all are correct. I don't disagree with any of those points. But what I'm simply saying is, why do we still call it the NAACP then? Why do we still say people of color? That's all I'm saying.
So what should we change it to?
I don't know.
What should we change it to?
I'm just saying that this feels crazy.
Because this is an established organization. It's been around for over 100 years. To change it now, it just wouldn't sound right, if you ask me.
But that don't make any sense. If we're saying that colored people is offensive, why wouldn't we change? And you're telling me that over time, colored people has gotten more offensive. Why wouldn't we tell them to change the name of the organization?
We should then. Hello, who's this?
This is Kim.
Hey, Kim. Good morning. What's your thoughts?
I completely disagree with what Charlamagne is talking about. Charlamagne, you have got to take a second and think about the words that you're saying. Mm-hmm. You're listening to respond, but you're not listening to understand.
Yes, ma'am.
If the NAACP was started in 1909, it makes perfectly good sense. The context of the word matters, like how he was saying it was in a derogatory manner. It's the same way we use the N-word in our culture. It's accepted within our culture, but we know surely when somebody's saying it in a negative way. So you can't just keep saying, oh, this organization uses it, so why is it offensive? It's absolutely offensive the way it was spoken.
You think that makes sense? Like you think
it makes perfectly good sense.
Okay, so let me ask you a question. We're saying that the term colored people is offensive, right? You're saying that.
I'm saying yes. In the context that it was used and the way it was used was offensive.
I don't think the context that he used it in on that floor is offensive. I think there is a way that word can be used in the context that's offensive, but not the way he used it just now on that floor.
800-585-1051. We're going to take more calls. If you're just joining us, Arizona Republican, he was on the House floor and referred to black Americans as colored people. We're asking what your thoughts. We'll play the audio when we come back. It's the Breakfast Club. Good morning. Morning, everybody. It's DJ NV, Charlamagne the Guy. We are the Breakfast Club. If you're just joining us, we're talking about Arizona Republican on the House floor referred to black Americans as colored people.
His name is Eli Crane.
Eli Crane, and here's the audio.
My amendment has nothing to do with whether or not colored people or black people or anybody can serve. Okay? It has nothing to do with color of your skin, any of that stuff. What we want to preserve and maintain is the fact that our military does not become a social experiment.
And listen, colored people absolutely can be offensive, but everything is about context. You know, there is absolutely a context where colored people can be offensive. I don't think that was one of those times. And once again, I'm going to keep saying this. If colored people is now offensive, then we need to have a meeting about the term people of color, because that's just saying colored people with better grammar. And we definitely need to have a conversation about the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Right. It's like the term when you refer to Jewish people, right? And you take off that's ISH, right? But for years, people would just say, hey, the so-and-so live in that area. It wasn't supposed to mean derogatory. It was how people would say it. Then we realized that they didn't like it, that it was derogatory. So we don't say that word. Now we say Jewish.
But no, it's still a context to that too, though. Because, you know, you can say, I remember we had the head of the ADL up here, Jonathan Greenblatt, and we talked about that. Mm-hmm. And he said it's all about context. Because there's like you can say that word shortened in a negative context.
We won't even say the word. Because we don't necessarily understand.
I try not to practice bad habits.
Because we don't know.
You know what I mean? I've been trying to stop saying the N-word for years.
That's a damn lie.
I have.
You called me, you said N-word the other day.
Because you be acting like one. See? I try not to say it, but I can't think of no other word.
See? Let's go to the phone lines. Hello, who's this?
Hey, this is Shanice.
Hey, Shan, good morning. What's your thoughts?
So I'm not against color. That's because black women have different beautiful colored children. But I do think we need to look at the word minority a little bit. Just because what's the opposite of minority? Majority, right?
Yep.
Why are we less than, you know?
Okay.
I mean, that's just a numbers thing.
Right.
I get what she's saying, but it's just a numbers thing.
But minority means is we're low in numbers as opposed to the majority of the people, which is...
But if you put all the colors together, we're the majority.
I'm serious. Hello, who's this?
If you put all the colors together, we're the majority.
Hey, this is King from Oxnard.
What's up, King? Talk to us, brother.
What's up, Envy? I wanted to talk about that color thing. So what I noticed, though, is like I'm rolling with Charlamagne on this one because what I noticed is every morning you guys play like this thing from the Wayans brothers where they say we're happy and we're single and we're colored.
Singing.
Day.
We're not single. We're married. Singing.
Okay, we're singing. But that's what I'm saying. It's like if we go like take offense to some of these words, then we got to take it out. Like he was talking about the NAACP, we got to change that too. And then we got to stop playing that stuff, in the morning and all of that if we're going to be taking offense to it. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, it's common sense to me, my brother, but, common sense ain't common nowadays. I'm with you.
Thank you, brother. Yeah. Hello, who's this?
This is Shar.
Hey, Shar. Good morning. Talk to us.
Good morning. First of all, I think, and V's right, it's a feeling, number one. Number two, it's coming from people who we perceive don't like us. And it sounds like a label when they say it. When we speak about it, it's a description. But when they speak about it, it's a label. Just like Jewish people, you don't say the Jews. You say Jewish. They might be the Jews, but you don't say the Jews. It's derogatory.
Yeah, but those those people also don't have organizations named after their slurs. So if colored people is indeed a slur, like we have the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
We're describing ourselves.
So why can't somebody else describe us in that way? Like I'm trying to
No, when they say it, they're labeling us. That's a label.
So what is people of color?
They say it to us.
What is people of color?
People of color, we're describing ourselves.
But don't you think that's just colored people with better grammar?
No, because colored people is referred to as black people. People of color is black, is brown people, is Indian people.
So people of color is offensive too?
Indian people.
Of people.
But colored people is as well. Colored people
is described as black people.
No, it's not.
When you say a colored person, nobody ever think it was a Latino. If you say colored person, nobody ever think it was Indian.
That's y'all for being stupid.
No, colored people is referred to as black people.
Let me look up colored people.
Well, you're right as well. We do need to have a conversation about changing those kind of discussions.
The term colored, the term colored in British usage, the term refers to a person who is wholly or partly of non-white descent. That is not just black people, y'all. Like what are we doing here, man? Seriously, what are we doing? Why are we acting so silly here? Huh?
Well, what's the moral of the what's the moral of the story?
I mean, the moral of the story is what I said earlier. I'm not saying that colored people is not offensive. Anything can be offensive, right? Because everything is about context. So there's absolutely a context where colored people can be offensive. I don't think that guy using it on the floor was one of those times. But on another note, if colored people is offensive, if it is a slur, as y'all are trying to tell me this morning, then we need to have a meeting. Because we say people of color, and I feel that's just saying colored people with better grammar. And we have the NAACP, which is the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People. And in a few minutes, we're going to play a drop with the Wayans Brothers theme song that says, where brothers were singing and were colored. Give me a high five, damn it. Okay? So I'm just saying, if a colored is offensive, we need to have a meeting and revise some things. Don't you think? Right?
Well, we could discuss.
Especially when y'all keep saying, well, we created that word back in 1909, but over time it seemed to be a bad word. All the more reason we probably should revise some things, right?
All right, well.
I'm just simply saying, like, we're arguing about something that seems very common sense to me.
Okay. All right, well, let's get to the rumor report. Let's talk about big colored cocks then.
BBC. It's actually big black cocks.
Yes, but
so it's not colored.
But I changed it to colors that you like.
Okay. BCC, big colored.
BCC.
Okay.
All right, we're going to talk about BCCs when we come back.
Okay.
All right?
You got very excited about that.
We'll get to it next. It's The Breakfast Club. Good morning.
Wake that ass up
Early in the morning.
The Breakfast Club.